We're here, don't go anywhere. Whoops.
Is that a new jail?
They found it. They saw us in the Matrix.
That's the Matrix, all right.
Oh no. Hey everybody, this is Counselor Curtis. I'm here with Jimmy Doan. This is the Jimmy Doan Show. We do this twice a week, Wednesdays and Sundays, live, very close to 4 o'clock Eastern time. And I post a show up on YouTube afterwards with the subjects all time-stamped nicely. And then you get an audio version on iTunes and other places. Search for Jimmy Doan, D-O-A-N-E. You will find us. How are you, Jim? Jimbo.
Yep. All right, oh, there we are. Okay, good deal.
Hey.
All right, well, a couple of little announcements before we get started. As usual, I'm sorry to have to bring this up.
Okay.
This
show brought to you by...
West Wing. Now, I've been binging on West Wing on Netflix. There's 7 seasons.
Okay.
I've finally gotten into season 7. One of the things that is about season 7, which is like they could have written it today, it's about the people who are running for president. It's all about the candidates, all the different candidates, and what they do and how they do it and so forth. And then they get to the point where they have the convention, and they have the 2 front runners, and they spent this is like the last 300 days or whatever until the actual election, and then finally I forget when, whatever it is, last 100 days after the convention and so forth, and all the intrigue and the back and forth and everything. I mean, it's right out of today. It is. If you want to know what this next year is going to look like, you watch season 7. And where I am right now is there has not been an election yet, but we're real close. And but the intrigue that goes back and forth with these guys, and the 2 presidential candidates are Alan Alda, great actor, and Jimmy Smits, who's also a good actor. Interesting. Alan Alda is the Republican candidate.
Okay.
Which he's not a Republican. He's a screaming liberal. But the one, I forget what it is.
It's an actor.
He's a fabulous. Well, let me just tell you though. I believe it's episode 11 or 12 or 15 or something. But it's the debate. It's the whole thing is on a debate. And it's a free-form debate back and forth. And I'll tell you right now, whether you're right, left, in the middle, they both are genius debates, and it's a substantive debate.
Right. I was just going to say it's going to be just like ours.
No, it won't. But it was the lead up to it was just was genius, and then we got into it, and all the interaction. I mean, you can't take your eyes away from this. But the point is, this was written in 2005, okay, 14 years ago. And the questions that they came up with are precisely the ones they're coming up with today. And what happened is, in this particular debate, they got off the sound bites and got into the substance, which is something we'll never do here. Yeah. So, but this is, depending on
today's ideas are even wackier than...
I know, but by saying that they might be, but the point is that the sound bites it's all about education, or it's all about the environment. It's all okay. So what these guys do is same topics, but how they approach them, depending on where they're on the stump or whatever it is a lot of it is stump speeches stuff. But in the debate segment, it's substantive. It is. I mean, they really lay out their plan for the education or for the environment or whatever, foreign policy and everything, and they jab a little bit at each other. But boy, if you don't even have to watch all 7 seasons to get to that particular one. I think it's probably called The Debate. Right. I don't know. Anyway, it's really good. And now the other thing that's happening today, in just a couple of hours, at 9:45, I think, this evening is the equinox.
Oh, okay.
And it turns out it's a full moon.
Happy spring.
It's a special kind of full moon.
The worm moon, right?
Yeah, it's a worm moon, right? And it's named after some Chinese thing. The worm moon. Oh, here it is. It's the worm moon because this is the time when the ground softens up just enough, so the worms start to come out, and all the birds start to eat the worms. Okay. And this is apparently some Chinese. It's like the swallows come home to Capistrano or whatever. So anyway, and also, but not only that, not coincidentally, an asteroid is going to zing past Earth.
Uh-oh.
And it's a pretty good sized one. I think it's let's see, it's a.
All of them are pretty good size.
Well, this one is, big, it's not as big as a house, I don't think, but it's a bus or larger than a bus or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. It's going to zing past us at 190,000 miles. Well, that's closer than the moon.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it because it's not going to go through the atmosphere.
Right.
But anyway, it's near miss. So,
Yeah.
No extinction this time, folks. Yeah.
Yeah, the good news...
We dodged the asteroid on the bullet on that one.
Yeah, right. The good news about meteors is the ones that are big enough to actually make it to the surface are exceedingly rare. 50 or 100 years to get one that explodes like a good nuclear bomb size. And we had that one recently in Russia.
Right.
And we had the one 100 years ago in Russia.
Yeah.
And so right on schedule, basically.
Right. Well, they're trying to eliminate Russia. No problem.
Yeah, they're
We
bombing
don't have to
Russia.
worry about us. We can put all our nukes away and just wait for the asteroid.
There we go.
Okay.
Of course, that's statistical. Of course, a Manhattan-sized one could come along any day.
Yeah. Yeah. Any day. Right. Of course, the problem, as you well know, interestingly enough, even though they've got this special new detect asteroids before they hit it, they can't get any of them. The problem is you have to detect them about a year before they get here.
In order to divert the
Right.
trajectory far enough. Yeah, we haven't closed the gap so that we can detect the ones that are big enough to make it far enough away to move them.
Because there's only like millions of them. And of course, one of the little minor problems is when you
dark in space.
Well, there's dark. Not only that, a lot of times on the other side of the sun, or something like that. So.
We'll get better at it.
Yeah,
though. But still, yeah, they can come literally. That one in Russia, no warning.
Yeah.
Just kablamo.
Kablamo.
And so
but it was interesting that you noticed that everybody in Russia has a dash cam.
that's because widespread insurance fraud over there.
Right. So it's just funny because it was like 47 different angles of this thing coming across.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Okay, getting on to Trump.
Okay.
And I don't know if I have the whole story on this because I forget. Trump is threatening. I don't know what this is all about. Apparently, Saturday Night Live has been parodying him mercilessly, and he's apparently, I don't know if he really did it or not, but he's threatening them with some kind of federal legislation for showing as an advertisement without consequences for mocking him, and so he's going to call up the.
Oh, you get him with the equal contribution thing.
Yeah, that's it.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean, actually, that'd be horrifyingly ugly.
It would be stupid. Of
Yeah.
course.
But yeah, it was certainly worth the threat, I guess. But yeah, so everybody should realize they were flirting with this really horrendously stupid equal time situation.
Right.
Try to basically compel people to.
Well, we had it in this country for about a year or a week or something.
Yeah.
They set it up and then they realized, ooh, this can't work.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
It's like requiring somebody to give both sides of a story every time they talk.
Right.
You just wait, it'll all come out in the wash. And anybody, all these people who are against or trying to suppress speech in every different way and deplatform people, and that's all the wrong approach.
No. Wait a minute. We have a First Amendment, right?
We do, and by God, it needs to be reinforced. As you know, it's been hacked away at a little bit.
It has been.
And there are excuses that people use to say that speech can. You hear adults say words harm.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
No.
They really don't. It's an image. It's an imagination thing.
Did I grow up with sticks and stones made very kind?
Everybody did, and everybody. It needs to be and that needs to be sent out. I mean, I want to buy that copyright or something because it needs to be proliferated again, and everybody needs to be reminded this is what we were founded on, and this is what everybody needs to understand. All the speech comes out in the wash because it's on both sides, whatever it is.
Well, it's one of the things that I do find interesting. One of the great horrible quotes of the century that they hang their hat on all the time was the. Was it Holmes or whatever they say?
Yes.
You can't holler fire in a crowded theater.
Right.
Well, see, that's bullshit.
It's total bullshit.
Total bullshit. And everybody hangs their hat on that.
They do, and it's because it's come from the Supreme Court, which you give them some credence, but The truth is that I've been in theaters multiple times when the fire alarm has gone off. Not just somebody yelling fire, but the fire alarm. And everybody just kind of looks, well, should we, everybody, I don't know, give it a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And anybody see any smoke? Nope, nothing. Okay, we'll wait to roll it.
We used to have it down in my apartment where I was living down in a condo down here. And every once in a while the fire alarm would just go off.
Of course.
And of course, well.
The tower.
Yeah, and see, I was up on the 9th floor.
Right.
Well, I'm in bed.
Right.
I'm putting on my robe. I'm running downstairs, and the fire trucks actually show up, and then they know there was a wire crossed or something.
Totally. That building is so old. It used to happen regularly in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
With no warning or anything. And I got to the point when I lived there, I would just look out the window and I would look to see if there were a bunch of people pointing up, and, screaming or something. If I'd seen that, I'd have gone downstairs.
Well, I would go downstairs to meet my neighbors.
Okay, there you go.
Just hi. I'm from.
Hey, what's up?
I'm from 8A. What are you? That kind of stuff. So, okay. Speaking of politics, did we mention last time that Donna Brazile is gonna go on Fox News?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, Donna Brazile, who is like a arch partisan. I mean, she's the one that fed the questions to Hillary during the debate or whatever. Fox News, which I now have said, this is it, I'm done. Because when they hired Juan Williams, which
you weren't done before, yeah,
that was done. But if I wasn't done before,
this is all part of Fair and Balanced.
I don't think so. I tell you, she is.
Why not? Let her on there.
Well, no, that's fine. But I'm not going to watch it. I mean, it's just, of course, I don't have a TV.
It won't be one-sided. At least they'll have some type of debate. I don't know if it'll be substantive at all, like you said. And of course, that format still has the 30-second, go, shoot, and parry, dodge. It's like it's not like a podcast,
right? Well, they do. The only thing I have ever watched on any of them is when they have the round tables, they'll have a couple or three people on each side.
But then again, I mean, then there's even less time if there's seven people to talk,
and they're going back and forth. Yeah,
6 of them get 30 seconds, and
that's exactly right. But the simple fact is, when I think about like George Stephanopoulos as the moderator on one of the shows, I don't know if it's Meet the Press, whatever it is.
Right.
No, that's the other partisan guy, Chuck. Whatever. Chuck Todd, yeah. Chuck E. Todd.
Yeah, well, look, as I've been saying for months now, if the news organization has a broad circulation, it's probably a tabloid at this point.
Yeah.
And you should get your news from...
Well, it says here, in order... The note, I think this is from Fox, says, in order for us to best decide as people how to feel better and better protect and preserve our way of life, we need first to be able to hear what others are saying without the filter of bias and contempt. Well, it is so biased you just can't imagine.
Well, look, you don't get that. What you get is bias on one side, bias on the other side, and then you even it out in your head somewhere. You figure out where the thing is. You listen to the horribly biased, prejudiced person on one side, and then you do the horribly biased, prejudiced person on the other side.
But the one that keeps popping up again and again is the Charlottesville thing.
Well, yeah. Well, it's funny. Scott Adams is doing a big thing on that now.
Now he done it before. He did it. He's done it a couple times before. He's called people out.
Yeah.
He said, "Look, I'm going to."
Well, he was trying to do a public demonstration.
Oh, okay.
But he finally got to the realization that people, when you present them with the transcript or the video of Trump specifically denouncing white supremacists, specifically separating out those people from who he's lauding at the time, what they do is they change the subject right then, and then they quickly forget that you had the conversation.
Right.
So a week later, they don't even remember that they saw that information.
It's an hour later. It's some of this case.
Oh yeah, for sure. It has to be. You have to.
He actually called somebody up. I didn't listen to this particular one. But he had somebody on his. He's now with his Periscope. This is he does a Periscope.
He's got a guest.
And he's going to have guests, right? Yeah. And so he challenged somebody to call up with a particular belief. I did not listen to the whole thing, but
I tried, but the guy kept getting cut off, so I didn't see it either. But it just makes sense to me. Everybody's got to make up their own mind. I actually believe that his conclusion on that is not exactly accurate. People will sometimes come around even a month later, 2 months later, because it's in their unconscious. It can resurface somehow.
Well, some of those people, though, it's kind of interesting in a way because there are people who are in fact on the fence on some things. This is what I remember when I was in real estate. I would grade the potential listing people that I'd go list from A to E.
Okay.
And there's some people that E you just didn't bother. You just there's no way you're getting that. And some other people that were not. We're thinking about it, and so you lay out your case, and they would come back and say, "Well, no, but I've got a friend," and blah, and you would be able to, and then you could they would come to a decision,
right,
based on the. Well, one of the problems is, of course, a lot of that was based on some of it. Well, not a lot. 50% of it was based on logic. One of the little problems in politics is that about 80% of it's on emotion.
Yeah,
you can't convince anybody. I'm telling you, you can lay out.
Well, and also what I always say is you're not trying to convince that person. You're trying to convince people who are actually on the fence, who are watching the conversation.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so I can get on this. That's another politics. But before I get to that, I thought this was kind of interesting. It looks like Waymo, which is a Google something that's their self-driving car thing. Waymo One, the self-driving taxi service from Google's autonomous car company, official launched in December, but it hasn't been able to many people. It hasn't been available to many people. Apparently, they only have about 400 or 500 people or something.
Well, remember we talked about this. They rolled it out in very limited fashion.
Right, very limited.
Phoenix.
In Phoenix, right.
Where all the roads are clearly marked and there's not a lot of obstacles blowing in the way and stuff like that. And
well, anyway, they're expanding it apparently.
Okay.
And it was available to about 400 early riders, but it's interesting. They're going to open it up. They're starting to expand it and open it up some more. I didn't realize this, but there's still safety drivers in these.
What?
Yeah, it says here. Let's see. The Waymo says a benefit of 400 Phoenix here, but Waymo says open it to more people. Wait a minute. Did I say that?
I thought the Waymo ones were finally driver free. Finally, nobody even.
Okay, you're right. You're right. There's another one then. Okay, you're right. But apparently they're going to expand it now to some more people. One of the things that's holding them back, of course, is the one death that occurred from a self-driving car. You think about this. The New World would never have been discovered if they counted the number of ships that went doon, both going and coming.
Yeah, well, they didn't have any alternatives at that point. And look, I think that
those weren't self-driving sailboats or what?
Right.
Sail.
The way that I look at it is that people aren't going to trust the computers until the computers are undeniably better than the humans. Because the humans are going to always be like, well, they're better than some humans, but not better than me. Until it just gets.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience when I was flying my plane, I had an autopilot, and the leg on this particular one was 150 miles or something, so I could put the seat back and relax. I never did. I was scared to death, because not that it would have mattered. I mean, if I had hit something, I wouldn't have known anyway, probably. But I couldn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
So that's I can see that in your self-driving car, you're still going to be looking around.
For a while.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's right, because actually I have not driven in one yet. But like as you say, if you spend a couple of weeks and this thing all does the right stuff, you might.
You're just gonna. You're like, I guess it's.
Well,
got
it's the same. It's the same thing, right? Well, let me tell you, as you know,
safe enough to pick up the kids.
Yeah. Don't run over that dog. But I remember they tell you when you have a habit. Let's say you have a piece of paper and you throw it in a trash can. It takes you over 10 times. Before
I thought it was 30 or something.
Well, it's a bunch, whatever it is, because those are muscle memories, and you can't help it. So anyway, okay, there is another. This is kind of interesting. Let me just see here if I've got it. Yeah, this has to do with the campaigning, the campaigns. I never heard of this guy. How Andrew Yang could win the 2020 Democratic primary? No, you say? No. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting. We started the 2020 cycle with informal heuristic. While many long shots would run for president, I guess this is the network people, would focus our coverage on candidates who previously held elected office, others who would have to earn enough media attention to prove they could be taken seriously. When Yang, a political rookie, they decided to not cover him, basically. Well, apparently, he didn't meet our standard of coverage. But now he looks like he's well likely to qualify for the Democratic primary debates this summer. And so he's only 44 years old. He's already built an impressive resume. I didn't realize this, in the private sector. After graduating from law school and founding a failed tech startup, he became CEO of an $11 million test prep company. And he founded a nonprofit Venture for America, which trains college graduates. Started working for startups. But the centerpiece of his campaign has been the basic universal income. And this is where he wants to give everybody $1,000 a month, no matter what. And then what he's worried about is because he's kind of a geeky person, I guess, he's talking about the robots taking over everybody's job. And so now you're going to be out of work, and maybe you're going to have to work at McDonald's or something for minimum wage, but you'll get $1,000 a month from the rich people or somebody else or something. And that's his big deal. It's become a hot topic, and a lot of Democratic contenders are taking plans to overhaul. So but that apparently is a big deal for more than one person. And it turns out that this basic plan has been on a state level in a couple of places, or city level. City level.
We've seen it in half a dozen places in the city level, and I think they've all shut down within under a year.
Yeah.
This is more just absolute insanity from my perspective. This is paradise world. What you're going to get
Utopia.
free money and the robots are going to do all the work?
Yeah. Well,
come on. This is my idea. Look, here I got a show image, which is everything that you are owed by the world.
Yeah, that's it. Right.
Okay?
That's it.
Unless you have made a deal with somebody, this is what the world owes you. And the faster that you realize that, and the faster that you realize that you've got to give yourself everything, man.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate, as you say, with our welfare system and so forth. The food stamp. I mean, everybody lines up to get stuff free all the time from everything. Education.
I don't mind people lining up to get free stuff. What I mind is people lining up to hand out free stuff that they took from somebody else.
Oh, well,
because they couldn't convince the other people to give them the stuff.
Okay, well, there's no such thing as free stuff anyway, so I'm sorry. Even over here at the campus, when the Hare Krishnas hand out lunch,
they take
that ain't free.
Well, it was free for a long time, and then they started charging a $1 donation.
Okay, they had a $1 donation. That's what we do here in parking.
Yeah.
But we have donations here when we park for the games. But what I'm saying is you had to listen to them proselytize.
Oh, for sure,
sure. So that was, you couldn't get out of there without, some kind of...
Talking to Daru. Hey,
yeah, that's right. So anyway, it was not totally free. You had at least... It reminds me a little bit of when you go to the... you get the free vacation, and you have to listen to the pitch for the condo.
Right. And let me tell you how this is going to weasel its way in here. Another thing that I think this guy is for is Medicare for all.
Okay, yeah.
And so here's the way it's going to work. Oh, they're going to give you some cash for your Medicare, and you have to begin to abide by their health recommendations.
No fatties.
That's it.
No fatties.
Own a dog. How about that?
Yeah.
How about mandatory exercise every day?
Well, if you own a dog, see, that's okay, but you have to make sure you walk the dog.
That's right.
It can't be a pocket dog. It's got to be a walkie dog.
They'll put a little Fitbit on the dog, too.
There you go. Exactly. Because, as you know, those Fitbits are tied into the computer.
I know.
And what's interesting about my Fitbit is, there's...
You'll be sitting there at 7 p.m. and the TV will come on and go, "You've only walked 4,000 steps today.
Right.
Get your ass up."
Yeah. Well, of course, that's when the guy's going to put his Fitbit on the dog.
Well, right. Well, yeah.
So anyway, that's going to be great. So anyway, the next thing, another hot item for the campaign, hot new topic, is they're taking plans to overhaul the Supreme Court. They're all bent out of shape about the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Well, as a Counselor Curtis here, candidates including Senators Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Kristen Gillibrand have all signaled an openness to overhauling the Supreme Court if they become president, and progressive groups are putting their money behind the message, an effort to tap into the lingering liberal anger over President Trump's 2 confirmed nominees. So they're all upset about that, not forgetting, of course, that it's happened the other way, in the past, and of course even
Not forgetting, ignoring.
Right, exactly, ignoring. So here's some of the proposals. Let's go talk about whack jobs. Among the proposals are rotating justices, often on the bench, from the lower appellate courts, and imposing term limits for currently life-tenured federal judges. One idea is interesting, is you have 15 members, but only 10 of them are appointed in the political fashion. 5 of them can only be seated by unanimous agreement of the other 10. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you sit there and you think, well, what could possibly go wrong? Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough as it is in a lot of respects, but be careful what you wish for. This is the same thing what I call the guy Harry Reid. We did the nuclear option.
That's exactly
well,
right.
Guess
Look,
what?
If you're going to expand it in one administration, then the next administration is going to expand or subtract it or whatever, and then it's just going to be a battle, another battleground, another political battleground. I think they should be as insulated as possible.
Interestingly, one of the West Wings was all about the Supreme Court.
I'm sure.
A guy dropped over dead. And they had to, before he dropped over dead, they were wandering around. They said, the guy's a nut job, whatever it was, and so forth. And of course, they were all worried because he got sick before he died. And, is he still on? And so, I mean, this was right out of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I mean, it was like written, 10, 15 years ago, for God's sakes.
It's a recurring theme.
It totally is, but it was so beautifully done. Just really
What you
amazing.
always hear is they're the unelected judges. Nobody elected them, and they have all this power. But the thing people have to remember is that they have nugatory power. Almost exclusively, their power is to shut down somebody else's power. It's not to enact their own laws or make their own proclamations. It's happened a couple times. Brown versus Board of Education, and there's been a few decisions that have gone way overboard in terms of orders from the court to administratively reform all kinds of...
Oh, yeah, well, in the lower courts, there have been orders to, first of all, you had the integration. You have to integrate the school system. But then there was another one where one of the schools wasn't performing, and the judge, either Kansas or whatever, ordered them to put in a swimming pool and upgrade the school and everything, get the money and do this. And, of course, 10 years after that, they found out that the scores had not improved or something.
Well, for whatever efforts, I mean, the courts aren't supposed to do that kind of positive law stuff, and they normally don't. After several couple hundred years, they've done a pretty good job of not becoming a dictatorial, another committee of people who...
Well, one of the problems, as we've talked about here, and actually they talk about it in the... I was listening to Mark Stein the other day about this speech that he gave some time ago, and one of the problems is that we are now governed by bureaucracies. Totally.
Well, that's because of a particular abdication by the court.
Right.
The fact is that even though the court hasn't become a little tyrannical in and of itself, it's allowed the other branches to become more tyrannical.
Right.
It has deferred to them, usually in times of war, allowed them to expand their powers far beyond what they were before, and because of that, we have huge administrations.
Well, even not in times of war, when you look at stuff like I'm not voted, but there was the Medicare was one, for instance, where they basically, that's not in time of war, but that's a bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. And, Sibyllis, or whatever her name was, in the 700 pages of the health care plan, it was the secretary shall do this, must do this, is advised to do this. But there was like 700 of these things in the bill that she had complete discretion on enforcing various, she was basically making law.
Right.
And you see this kind of stuff all the time. One of the first places I ever saw this, which was disappointing, was in the 14th Amendment, maybe, where they said, and Congress shall have the ability to make any laws that they want to enforce this.
Well, yeah, to enforce this is the particular, that's the limiting clause there, and what it's supposed to do is, it's supposed to severely limit what they're allowed to do. Exactly. It doesn't. They can do anything at this point. As Clarence Thomas and other justices have pointed out, they could easily, under the current status of the laws, pass an omnibus bill.
Well, they were trying to figure out...
compel us all to do all kinds of stuff. Right.
Well, yeah, good luck without the riots. Well, it's interesting because in one of the guys that was talking about packing the court or whatever said, or they were talking about a mandatory retirement age, and they said that way we can get Clarence Thomas off the court.
Right. Well, of course it's about specific things. Of course, look, I have not seen in recent memory so much specific targeting of other people as I have in recent times.
Totally. But what's so interesting about this is we're not going to allow the other side to stack the court in this particular venue. We will stack our people in the. What are you talking about?
Well, it's got to that point, which is. Ugh.
So anyway, let's see. Okay, so the next thing that they want to do, Elizabeth Warren and some others want to eliminate the Electoral College.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
That's a big one. Monday night CNN town hall in Jackson, Mississippi, Senator Liz Warren made some news. She supports getting rid of the Electoral College as the method by which we elect presidents. And she says, my view is that every vote matters. That's the big deal. Every vote matters. And the way we can make it happen is that we have a national voting, and that means we get rid of the Electoral College, and every vote counts. The Massachusetts Democrats said to a raucous applause from the audience, and so the Democratic base, of course, is all up in arms because who was it? Was it Dole and Trump lost the popular vote and won the not Dole, but who?
Bush.
Bush lost the popular vote, and so did. And so two Republicans, quote unquote, got in, and even though they lost the popular vote.
Right, that's why they're looking at it.
Right, that's why they're looking at it. Well, of course, what's interesting, there's two things. First of all, be careful what you wish for, because the simple fact is that every vote is not going to count. There are going to be, if you happen to be in the large cities in Texas, in Washington, D.C., in New York, and California, maybe some in Florida, that's it. You're going to elect. That's going to be the popular vote. You live in New Mexico, Nebraska, Montana. Your vote doesn't count. It's not going to count. So what? You think it is?
Well, if they could arrange just a simple 1-to-1, one vote, one person, and then just stack those up next to one another. So everybody's vote counts exactly the same.
Well, but I'm saying that but you have to understand that the propaganda. The TV spots and all the stuff that actually makes a difference is going to be in those.
I don't think those things actually make the difference.
Oh, they totally do.
Well, how?
Oh my God! Of course they do.
Because look, it's a wash on both sides.
No, you don't. I don't think so. The point, I think that what's going to happen is they are going to pander to. It's like Willie Sutton. Why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. Why do you politic in New York City and in Miami and in Texas or Houston and whatever it is, and Sacramento and whatever it is, because that's where the votes are.
Right. And I agree that what would happen is the politicians would lead from the front of those crowds as opposed to going to Iowa or Minnesota or Montana or wherever, because there's not enough people there to make any difference.
No.
So
you can go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so there would be a pandering to the views that occupy the mass population.
Right.
But that's just a person saying this is what I'm going to do if I get elected. It's not like saying, your vote still counts exactly the same. They may not try to run in your area, and they may try to pass policies that you don't care about, or that they don't care. They don't care that you do care about them, or they don't care that you don't care about them. They're pandering, like you said, to the big populations, but. Then you could still select whoever you wanted based on.
You look at something like New York City, which is total blue. California, totally blue, totally lefty. These are huge populations that it seems as though as soon as cities get big, and not even the size of Gainesville, it goes totally.
Texas is pretty red.
No. But Beto almost won.
Is right on the line.
Right on the line. Yes. Now. You wait,
22 million people.
Right, but I'm saying that there are states that used to be totally red that are now purple, and they're swinging.
The thing is,
because people are walking in there giving away stuff.
But think about I don't mind this particular effort, because here's the thing that they've done recently, as you know, is they've created this concept of superdelegate electors.
Well, that's gone. Did they do that again?
I know they eliminated a lot of them, but I don't think they eliminated all of them.
No, they didn't eliminate all of them.
And so what you have is people like Donna Brazile was an elector.
Yeah.
And so it didn't matter what you said or did anything. Donna's going to go down there and cast the vote.
Right.
So, from my perspective, it doesn't make any difference it doesn't make much of a difference, and I'd be just as happy without the Electoral College.
Boy, not me.
But and here, look, here's the thing. At the end of the day, the voting is a sham anyway, because you're voting for some guy who can then go up and vote for other stuff.
Technically.
Right, you're so far removed.
Well, you're actually voting for the electors.
That's what I mean.
And they actually could, they never have. I mean, they haven't forever.
Well, there was a big controversy about that last time.
That's right, there was.
And don't think that wouldn't continue to rear its ugly head if we continue to go down this electors path. And then you're going to have situations where, I don't know why they just don't go to the electors' houses and I'm going to go over there and we're going to have tea and stuff. And that's all I'm going to do. Instead of campaigning all these states, I'm just going to go around to all the electors and we're going to talk about my policies with the 275.
The electors, though, are selected from they're
different ways. I was an elector at one point.
Really?
Yeah, I was a delegate to the Libertarian Convention in 2007.
No kidding. All right.
So I got to cast a vote.
All right.
But it's just like, what?
And was that why? Then we almost had a Libertarian.
And that's why we're in this crap pile right now. Is what's.
Oh my God! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, but it's just.
Well, one of the things though, you have to realize that in order to do that, you have to have a constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
So good luck on that.
I'm with you there.
I mean, the fact is, 3/4 of the
They're
states.
dreaming. It's the same thing with the Supreme Court. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
It's advertising, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, it's
for their campaigns.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So, but I mean, what they're doing, what's interesting is to me, what's interesting is that they tout this stuff as if important when it's a nothing burger. Nothing's going to happen on the Supreme Court and the Electoral College and all that. Ain't going to happen.
Well, look, you have to. If there's ever going to be change, you have to start a groundswell at some point, and it may not.
And we've done it before, and much to our, some like for instance, we have direct election of senators now, which we didn't used to have.
Right. And the senators used to elect the president. That's how it used to be. They had their own votes. And then we went.
No. What happened was the state legislatures would select the senators. No.
Okay, right. That's right.
Yeah, no. The presidents were always elected by popular vote.
By the
Electoral College.
Right.
Which, of course, changed over the years because we started off with 13 states.
Right.
And so now, of course.
But yeah, so the senators had a completely different base.
Totally.
Of
it was the legislatures, the state legislatures.
So I don't see any problem with letting everybody vote. It doesn't matter anyway, from my perspective. It's still a crazy situation that you're voting for somebody who can do whatever.
Well, not only that, even as we've seen, if it's 51-49, suddenly the 51% of the people...
We have a mandate.
They mandate, right. And they can tell the other 49 what to do, whether you like it or not.
And that's why the most important part of our government is not that part, it's the Constitution.
Right.
Which limits all of that part. It limits...
So, sort of.
Well, it does.
Except for taxes and of course the Constitution. I don't know how they got the Federal Reserve in there past the.
Look, I'm not saying it's been perfect. They have snuck stuff past it for sure.
They really have.
They've hacked into those rights for sure. We need to go in as they're talking about a convention of states. I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah.
We should go in and elaborate on the rights and privileges that are not specifically identified in the 9th and 10th Amendments and establish those as people's rights. Stuff like just simple things like you can marry who you want to. Okay, we can call that a 9th Amendment thing. You can dress how you want to. We can call it a 9th Amendment thing. You can ingest what you want to. We can call it a 9th Amendment thing. And then it's already in the Constitution.
Right.
We just had sort of a ruling about...
Well, originally they didn't want to pass the Bill of Rights.
Oh, well, of course not.
I mean, they said it's already in the Constitution.
Right.
But there was at least 2 or 3 states that said, we're not going to ratify it unless you have a Bill of Rights in there. So they did the Constitution first, and then they did the Bill of Rights.
It was almost immediate.
It was almost immediate, right.
So, but it had to be, and that's... But that, and thank God they did, because that is really those prohibitions have grown over time in certain spheres. And I can tell you, in the criminal law, you didn't used to have the protections that you have today, even 100 years ago.
Oh well, we talk about the old theme about if you got arrested in Chicago, it was the old rubber hose trick to make you confess.
There you go.
I mean, they used to beat the crap out of people before,
right?
So, and no Miranda rights or anything like that.
Right. So in terms of the base who are electing our representatives and our presidency. To me, that's just, it's not super important, but it's obviously a good talking point. You know, you say it to the crowd, all of you all matter.
And they all right, and they all cheer.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is something that you brought up one time. And it says some superhumans can detect the Earth's magnetic field.
Yeah.
Did you see this? What happens is only in very specific conditions. It says animals, as you know, a lot of animals have magnetic, whatever, turtles, birds, everything, because that's how they migrate.
Right.
Apparently, it's pretty obvious. They've done all kinds of tests where they, monkey with their little magnetic something, and they get totally bamboozled or whatever. And of course, I have no idea what's going to happen when the magnetic field flips, as we're headed. But anyway, they have certain advantages. Animals that humans lack the ability to sense the Earth's magnetic field. But it turns out they've done some studies, and they found out that there's some humans, and I think about it, it makes perfect sense. Some humans do have some wave, alpha wave, beta wave, or something like that is sensitive.
Right.
And who were we talking? The other, was it you? The other, that you know exactly which direction you're pointed all the time.
Oh no, not me, but we were talking about time stuff. But
oh, that was what time it is. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are people that have a innate sense of direction.
Right.
And I'm not one of them.
Well, they've tried to do a few experiments on it recently. This is the most recent one. I saw this. They put them, the conditions are, they put them in a little cage, a Faraday cage. It basically sort of limits the way that the field goes through the cage, and then they can adjust the field direction.
Right.
And then they monitor your alpha waves to see if you're...
A Faraday cage is usually a copper mesh that shields electromagnetic waves.
So this one just allows them to create a uniform field.
Right.
And it's neat. One thing I noticed about the experiment is that they didn't try to train anybody.
No.
Which, from my perspective, is critical to the experiment.
I agree with you on that.
Because if you threw a human in a Faraday cage with a violin and said, "Can you play? Can you play violin?"
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But put him in there with Tchaikovsky
or what is the kid system they use?
Suzuki.
Suzuki, right? Suzuki.
Put him in there with Mr.
Video.
Suzuki, and let him in there for 10 months, and he'll play some music.
That's right.
And the same kind of thing. I think they should call for some volunteers to go in there and train, like the Japanese chicken sexer people.
Yes.
They and for people who don't know, there is a tradition, a old thing they do in Japan, where they can look at an egg and determine whether the chicken is
a rooster or a hen.
That's right.
They have to hold up the light, I think.
I don't know how they do it.
I think they do. They have to hold up the light, but let's face it, the shell ain't all that transparent.
No,
but they're looking at, and we are talking here about an embryo.
Yeah.
I mean,
they don't know how they do it, but the way that you learn to do it is you sit next to somebody who does know how to do it, and you watch them do it for long enough, and somehow you get into their wave.
No, that's right.
That's the kind of thing that we'd have to do. So what we do is we put some people. What we do is we get cousin Katie to ride around on some whales and try to figure out.
Or the turtles. She does turtles.
She does turtles too,
yeah,
right?
Because they're all magnetic stuffy.
And train herself to do that, and then report back.
Okay, so anyway, that's coming along, and we have the magnetic thing. Unfortunately, no good in space. This is one of the big. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how this. I brought this up. The Star Center center fielder, Mike Trout, is getting a new contract.
You saw that?
Yeah.
He looks like cousin Chad too, didn't you?
Yeah, he does. But I mean, it's a 12-year. He's 27 now, I think. 12-year, $430 million contract. Yeah, this is Babe Ruth. He got really rich on like a $10,000 or $20,000 contract when he was really hitting well and everything. $430 million.
But now, of course, obviously, the dollar is worth 1/100th of what it was.
Well, not quite, but yeah, in 1930, probably quite a bit. Still, so he got 100,000, 200,000 in today's money.
I guess
something, whatever it was, but I'm saying this is 430. He's getting.
Well, what's happening
36 million a year.
Yeah. Well, what's happened obviously is the incredibly expanded market area.
Oh, no question.
In the last 10 years, it's gone 10 times, and you've got things like the UFC, the fighting championship, has been doing pay-per-views for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
And they're super happy when they get 1 million or 2 million buys, because then they make $50 or $60 million, $100 million on the show, and that's huge money for them. But when you compare that with being able to sell to 1 billion people for $10 a show, it's whoa, all of a sudden, then whoa, now we're talking about a real market.
Well, I'll tell you, that is so anyway, that's going to be interesting. He's topping Zach Greinke's previous record of 34.5 million per year. So this, I mean, they're going up there. I don't know what he is. He's with Arizona Diamondbacks anyway. So
He's holding the bat, so I guess he's a slugger.
Okay, speaking of money, trial lawyers have decided this is the ones that took on big tobacco and won the $1 billion settlement. We're still spending the money here in Florida to some extent. A new class action lawsuit takes aim at real estate agents.
Yes.
Now, whether you know it or not, generally speaking, in order to practice, as you do with attorneys, you have to join the ABA or whatever. And in real estate, you really have to be a member of the National Association of Realtors, the NAR. And they have some guidelines and everything that in order to do real estate. And I'm trying to think if there might be one or two aspects of real estate. If you're like a secretary, you might have to have a real estate license, but I don't know if you have to join the NAR. But anyway, for as long as I was in real estate for years and years, this is 30, 40 years ago, but historically, it's a 6% commission on residential, 10% on land, and some commercial. But these are commission. And it's split up a couple of different ways by thing. And we've been doing this for years. So now what these guys are complaining, they said the suit was filed in Chicago on behalf of anyone who sold a home through one of the largest listing services in the country. And this is the MLS, the Multiple Listing Service. Charges the Washington Lobby National Association of Realtors, as well as the 4 largest real estate brokerages, and the MLS services they use have conspired to require anyone selling a home to pay a commission of the broker, and at an inflated amount. Homeowners who are ready to sell their properties usually hire a real estate agent to represent them, and of course that's changed over the years. Sellers agree to pay that commission on the selling price, and typically the commission is paid to the listing agent and then split with the selling agent, typically. And now you have a new thing called buyer's broker, and they can get a fee and so forth if you happen to if you're arranged for the sale through something else. Point being that they're thinking that this is a horrible thing. Now I can tell you this much, as I've always said, as one who used to list properties, you're going to pay the fee anyway. I mean, no matter how you slice it, when you go to a for sale by owner, you've pulled out your comparables or whatever it is, and you're nuts if you think, I mean, you've already mentally knocked off the 6 or whatever it is percent when you go in and make the offer. So the homeowner, who is, unless the house happens to be unbelievably spectacular for one reason or another, or so unusual or gold plated or whatever, that you can get, if it's such an unusual house that it doesn't have comparables, and you find the right person that wants, that's one thing. But other than that, anybody walking around here and they go into the open house and how much you asking, they're going to knock off 6% before they give you an offer right off the bat. So you're going to pay it anyway. And one of the things that I always tell them was, you might as well pay me, and I'll bring you the buyer who is qualified, number one, and I'll make an appointment and not just bang on your door at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, can we come in? And so this is the kind of thing that you pay for, but you're going to pay it anyway. So you might as well at least get some service out of it. So I think this is ambulance chasing as far as I'm concerned.
Oh man, I have a totally different take on this. I mean, well, I should say it's 50% different take. I agree with you that you're going to end up paying this anyway. The bottom line is that realtors perform a valuable service, and they should get compensated for it. And they will. And they will always continue to, no matter what the market is. But what we have here is 2 things. We have, first of all, a bunch of aggressive lawyers who want to make some money.
Right.
And what they have figured out, and this is really awesome from my perspective, is they have figured out that they can characterize a licensed group of people as a cabal.
How about them?
They're coming. They'll be the last ones.
The lawyers are going to sue the lawyers?
Exactly. But they'll be the last ones to do it.
Okay.
Because you can't, that's cutting themselves off at the knees.
No
obviously.
kidding.
But you might as well go after everybody else and up until that point. Why not go after the doctors for colluding to keep prices high? Why not go after everybody who has a license? Because at the end of the day, all we're talking about here is the licensing group is just a cabal. It's just a collusion. It's just a bunch of people who want to keep prices high for themselves.
Because they limit the entry.
They limit competition.
They limit the entry into your profession.
That's right.
I mean, if you want to become a builder, for instance, you know, you have to get a license and pass a test or something.
That's right. And it is absolutely wrong for them to be able to set the price for everybody in the market. You can't go out and hire yourself a contractor, even if you love what this guy's built, unless he has paid his dues to the cabal and gotten into the cabal.
Right.
So what I love about this is that these guys are going to spend a lot of time and energy creating language which characterizes literally licensing as collusive behavior.
All right. And
I know.
And it goes on from there.
Well, they all they have to do, man. See now we get the reverse. You had a month ago, Uber and Lyft and Airbnb. These companies are under potential threat of being sued by the driver, by the cab people, or by the hoteliers, respectively, because they're infringing on their market. Well, now we might see the reverse. We might see lawyers coming in for Lyft and Uber saying, you cabbies need to give up on your cabal, and we're going to sue you to shut you down so that prices normalize into a real market.
Oh, good. Let's go ahead and sue DoubleTree and the Hilton and.
Well, you sue. Hey, big money, $500 billion. Hey, if they get $500 billion out of Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin,
Yeah, right.
they can get it out of Hilton.
That's right.
I just like the whole framing of the issue, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I'm sure that good realtors will continue to be paid well.
Oh, no
in
question.
fact, if they're able to sort of unravel the cabal, then I believe that good realtors will be able to command a premium. They'll be able to go in and say, look, I'm not doing it for 3%. I'm getting 5%. You can pay whatever your other guy you want. I'm taking 5%.
Well, you come in with the recommendations. I mean,
exactly.
I did that when every time we'd sell a house, I would type up a recommendation letter and get them to sign it.
And there you go.
And then in the back, whenever I finished my listing thing, I say, well, here's some people that were satisfied.
That's right. And for all you people who are worried about, well, how are we going to check and who are we going to hire if nobody has licenses, you'll have
Yelp
recommendations, Yelp certifications, consumer reports.
I went on Yelp the other day, as a matter of fact, to find my was it the roofer or the
tree guy?
The tree guy. Come 5 stars across the thing
There
and
you
everything.
go. That's how you do it.
That's exactly how you do it, right?
You don't need a license.
No. So anyway, the next thing, of course, we're coming into the gender business. A devout Catholic who used the wrong pronoun. This is in England, so pronoun to describe a transgender girl to be interviewed by the police. When Kathleen Farrow, a Catholic commentator and transgender rights companion Susan Green, faced off at a television debate, it got nasty in the television debate, but apparently it got even nastier afterwards. And the off-pair continued a debate on Twitter that resulted in a 6-month-long police investigation because she used the wrong pronoun.
Sticks and stones.
Yeah.
Next.
So
come on, y'all.
Yeah. And of course, the police. Interestingly enough, the police said when they brought this up, the police said, "Wait! We got crimes out here. We got knives and people assaults and so forth." And one of the trans. And they said, we really don't have time for this. This is something else. I don't know, civil problem.
Sue!
Yeah, right. Campaigners that support the transgender rights insist that it's the police to bear down on those alleged to flout the Equalities Act. Apparently, that's an act in England that mandates your pronoun to seek to cause harm and distress to vulnerable people. So if you're addressed by the wrong pronoun, you're automatically a vulnerable person.
I think they have a rule like that in Canada.
Yeah, they might. Making jokes at Portland State gets you reported to its bias response team. So this is 2 bias reports filed at a public institution last fall were against people making jokes or similar offhand comments on campus, according to documents obtained by the college fix. This is where I got this from, as a public records request. In one case last September, a student overheard someone in their classroom making a comment about sometimes feeling like they were having schizophrenia. And then she said she was not trying to make fun of schizophrenia, but somebody else said, this is out of bounds. The student reported the incident, she said it hurts when somebody addresses schizophrenia. The student reported the incident to the PSU bias review team, keeping her identity secret, but the person who allegedly made the offending remark, however, was named in the complaint to the administration. I mean,
we've seen these things come up. We've reported on a comic in Canada, Mike Ward, who was sued. He spent $200,000 defending himself for a joke that he
Canadian.
Canadian, yeah, that was Canadian. And,
it's $200.
Oh, right, 200,000 Canadian. Yes, it's $50.
No.
But then there was another guy who was at a diversity conference, and he was actually a gay Asian man. Made a joke about LGBTQ, and they threw him out. And I think they tried to initiate some type of legal retribution against him.
Wow.
But again,
you get on YouTube and you see the comments. There's all kinds of making gay.
Well, the good news is,
are my gay people here? Phyllis Diller used to do that. Where are my gays?
The good news is that in the comedy clubs there are still no filters at all.
Really?
Yes.
Ah.
You can say anything on any subject.
And
it may not
we saw
go
that,
over.
We saw that last night.
We did see that.
I went to a comedy club last night to see what it's like.
Yep. All right, I may have a thing or two.
We're getting right here to the end.
Yes, don't worry. I know we already covered one of mine.
Okay.
Just real quick. Well, let's see. You saw Elizabeth Warren's housing initiative?
No.
She's got some big new housing initiative that aims to divide us all up by race and determine exactly. It's kind of like a reparations except for housing thing.
Oh.
So my thought about this is the same in every area, and that is that all of you people who are trying to separate us out into racial categories
are all kinds of categories.
I know. Well,
not only racial,
sexual, racial,
but they
whatever.
always said, I'm a
uniter.
I'm a uniter, not a divider. Well, no.
No, you're a divider.
You are a horrible divider.
Horrible divider, Elizabeth. Horrible divider. And just the concept. Can you imagine the catastrophe that would ensue if we divided everybody up according to the race, like Caribbean, like Missioner's Book Caribbean?
Yes.
134 different races or whatever it is. And then you get either charged or awarded money based on the. Oh, well, let's see what percentage of what percentage of this are you? And
yeah, you look up the calculator. Let's see. It's like a logarithmic table. You go down and cross it. Okay, here's
that's it. And that but take back 2 because you had an Irish grandparent. I mean, come on. It's amazing.
The Matrix.
Yeah. Okay. Don't take an aspirin a day for your health anymore.
I saw that.
After how many decades we've been told? How many billions of aspirin have been sold? How many people? What have there been children removed from their parents because the parents weren't giving the kids an aspirin a day? That's what I want to know. What kind of harm has transpired because of this health recommendation, which has now become a reversal? And I don't really want to know that. What I really want to know is, I just want to tell people, just look. Ingestion is very complicated, and nobody should be making any laws about that stuff. And
especially aspirin.
Well,
I mean, it's been around since the 20s. I mean, almost 100 years since Bayer invented it, or whatever it was.
But it was only 20 years ago that they did the take a little dose a day for your heart health.
Right. Well, the other thing, but it's interesting you should mention that, because I have been advised, because of my double lung transplant and everything, to take a children's aspirin a day.
Okay.
Which is like a third the size of a regular aspirin.
Right.
Fine, but every day.
Right. Well, I would double check on that recommendation now that this.
Look, I'll tell you. As far as I'm concerned, if I keel over tomorrow, I've had 6 years of lungs that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, well, that's true. Okay, tech update real quick. Intel and the U.S. Energy Department are building an Exaflop computer. quintillion a second.
And how many zeros is that?
18.
Jesus.
Yes. So pretty fast.
I wonder if that's getting up to
Near quantum levels.
near quantum
I don't
levels,
think
yeah.
so. I think
No.
there are a couple of
a couple more series of zeros.
exactly.
After quantum.
Exactly. Those are Yoda flops or something.
Yeah.
But still, Exaflop, man, it's that's nice. And then I'm finally for my final light note, and I have our transporter fired up to bring us out to the Superbloom in California. Blammo! Whoops!
What's that?
Oh, well, you went to a Superbloom.
Yeah, I did too. Boy, that's a good that's a good one.
So I'm in what's it, Walker Canyon by Lake Elsinore in California. And you can see behind me that there's a massive Superbloom. One happened last year. Before that, the last one was 2010. These are sort of rare events when all of a sudden flowers just pop up like crazy. They've had 30,000 or 50,000 visitors in the last couple of weeks, and the poor municipality is losing their mind.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they're posting stuff like, the conditions are unbearable. Like what? Traffic? Like so many people coming there to enjoy themselves that you can't enjoy yourself or something?
Right.
And then,
I imagine the Burger King people are sitting there.
that's what I was going to say, man. Every restaurant, Lake Elsinore is about the size of Gainesville.
Okay.
So it is, I mean, I got to believe every restaurant person in town is like, man, it's like having a game day every day.
Right.
Every business in town has got to be loving it. The hotel, whatever, rental car, but no, some people are losing their minds because some of the guests are stomping, trampling, heavens forbid, some of these flowers that were not even there.
Yeah,
like 2
20
months
years
ago.
This is the first time.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. And then their excuse for they've set up barriers. And yeah, exactly. And they're prohibiting people from going certain place stuff. And I'm looking at what the catastrophe was, and it was like one man got bit by a rattlesnake. Like that didn't happen like a month ago? Come on, man. And how is that? And all related to this. And their whole point is that so many people are enjoying Superbloom that it's interfering with other people who might enjoy the Superbloom.
But what we're going to do is we're going to wall it off and and we're going to use guns to patrol it. So
don't
wait a minute.
laugh. There are videos online of them ordering people out of the poppy fields
God.
that were of nobody's concern 2 months ago.
It is all about control.
I
These
know,
people,
I know. And then they've said the resources of the municipality are overwhelmed. Well, put up a freaking gate and charge $5. I mean, what? There's so many different solutions than losing your mind over the new beauty.
Well, that's it. Yeah, you're right. But they have this very narrow mindset.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then you are in a pot field, obviously.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because Florida has, in the last couple of days, passed and been signed into law. You are now allowed to possess flowers in Florida.
Right.
Which
you weren't
didn't
before.
see that coming.
Yeah, no.
But
well, they've really loosened up the medical marijuana thing.
well, you still have to have a prescription, and if you're a minor, you still have to get doctor's notes and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is that now, as of now, the flowers themselves are legal to be possessed by the patients, as opposed to just the tinctures and reductions and other things like that. So kudos to Florida and
Santos.
That's right.
Interestingly enough, one of the Jimmy Smith's presidential guy, in Westwood, Santos.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I forget what his name is. Something Santos.
Okay. So, thank you all for joining us. This has been the Jimmy Doan Show. We'll be back 4 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah.
These tracks brought to you by Kevin MacLeod. These have been great tracks. We really appreciate him helping us out with this. This is Fork and Spoon. You heard Cold Funk earlier and Whiskey on the Mississippi. We thank Kevin MacLeod for that. I am Counselor Curtis, and this is the Jimmy Doan Show. Thanks so much, Uncle John, Jack, Gene. We appreciate it, guys. We'll see you very soon.